Hey guys, welcome back. Today I've got a quick video for you showing you how to optimize your game and give you the best frames and view so that you don't miss your enemies. This was requested by a couple of people in one of the last videos that I made, so I've tried to bring this out as quick as possible, help you all out. If it does help, please consider liking, commenting and subscribing. That'd be fantastic. Let's get right into it. So the first thing you need to do before you even open your computer onto this is when you turn it on, you need to open your BIOS, which for the majority of motherboards is by just spamming delete. For certain ones it can be different. I think you can press spacebar as well, but if you're unsure, just check which motherboard you have, which you can check by going into your settings on this. Check it, search out how to open it with the BIOS. That's simple. Open it up, it'll come to just a black screen, usually with red or green writing on. In the very top it should say XMP, which is kind of like a natural overclock for your computer. You need to make sure that's enabled first if you want to get good FPS. Don't worry, it's not like manual overclocking which can damage your system or anything. This should be enabled on almost any PC that you buy or laptop. So first off, do that. If you can't find where it says XMP, in the top right, usually about here, there will always be a search bar. Click on that, search XMP, and just turn it on. As simple as that. Next thing, once you've done that, if you have an Nvidia graphics card like I do, you want to open up Nvidia control panel. Come over to manage 3D settings, and I have optimized these for FPS games for getting really good performance. So I'll slowly go down this, and feel free to pause it, copy them. I'll be going into more detail in them on the actual game. A lot of them cross over, but it's always worth doing it here as well. So I'll just slowly scroll down for you guys. Note that it says G-Sync as well. There's another one called V-Sync, which you never ever want to use. It is absolutely terrible and it just ruins your frames. Never use that. If you have G-Sync on your Nvidia graphics card, always use it. It's fantastic. It helps a lot. Okay, so those are all the settings for the 3D section. The other ones you do not have to worry about at all. That's the main thing. So once you've done that and you've done your BIOS settings, we'll go straight over into the game and I'll show you what to do there. One thing to check just before we do go into the game actually is if you go down here to set up G-Sync. Now this should come like this. You shouldn't have to look at this, but I have had one before where this box hasn't been ticked, so it's not enabled G-Sync for my games, and it took me a while to find out why. So just double check that this is ticked and it's enabled for full screen. I don't suppose any of you are playing games on windowed. I'd like to hope not anyway. So yeah, once you've done that, we'll go straight in. Okay, so once your game's open, first thing you want to do is go to settings. Any of these that you want to customize, do how you like. Everything besides the graphics, I think, doesn't actually have an effect. It's just personal preferences with your game. So we'll go to graphics. Make sure your monitor's right. Very helpful. Display adapter. Make sure that you choose your graphics card. Don't let it run off the built-in graphics on your motherboard or your CPU, whatever it is. Make sure you've got that on. Mine's coming on borderless window because I had an issue before with tabbing out and it making the game lag. It would go to like 10 FPS after or something. No idea why. It was only this game. So I left mine on this and it fixed it. So if you have that issue, I'd put it on there. If not, just leave it on full screen. Aspect ratio, just automatic. It'll just probably go to 16:9, the same as your screen. Be absolutely fine. Your frame rate things are not going to affect your frames unless you've accidentally capped them too low. So your out of match one's obviously just your menu. And if you go here, you press tab. That's why this is smoother. It does it here as well. So it's worth turning that up in case you want to go on there. Okay, next thing, sharpness, just personal preference. V-Sync, disgusting. Leave that off. Fast sync, leave that off too. Okay, field of view. One thing to note about this, I've just left it on 90, which is the default. A lot of you might know, the higher you have this, the worse your frames are going to be, because there's so much more on the screen it's trying to process. So somewhere in about 90 region is good. If you have it on like 120 and you realize that it's just not playing well at all, or you really need some extra frames, just drop it down a little. Do it like 10 frames at a time and go into a game and see what it's like. But yeah, about 90 is good. Right, graphics settings. This is the main bit we've been waiting for. So you can go into presets. What I usually do when I get the game is I will go on. I'm used to having a much lower end PC. I only got this recently. So my instinct would be to click low for everything, and then the couple of things that are essential I would put onto extreme. Things like view distance, so you can actually see far away, and reflections. So any that I have that say high, all of these, if you don't have as high an end PC or you're still having issues, I would put these on low. The difference between low and high is not much at all. And it also doesn't affect your frames that much. I think mine only went down by 20 by putting all of these on high instead. There's not much difference. I think it only starts to make a difference when you get to the last couple. So all the ones that are on high, choose whichever one of these you would like, put them all on the same thing. Nice and easy. And then if you decide that you can sacrifice some more FPS for a nicer screen, turn them all up one to ultra. If you don't get enough FPS, turn them all down one. And just go until it feels right. But like I said, reflections you want on extreme. View distance you definitely want on extreme. I might actually change mine up to ultimate because I've got a newer system now. I set all these beforehand. That's the most important one. You want to be able to see people far away. Okay, render scale and just leave default. Depth of field I turn off. If you have that on, what will happen is if you're looking at a building close by, everything behind it's going to go blurry. So although it's good for cinematics and it looks nice and it feels more realistic, you don't want that to try and play, and that's going to use more frames. Okay, all of these shaders, textures, streaming, again, all these for low, medium, high, wherever suits your system. Shadows is another one you want on a very high one. I might actually turn mine up. It's a really good one. I think people underestimate it. The amount of times I've got kills because I'm looking at a doorway and someone's coming around the other side, and because of the angle of the sun I can see their shadow come first, you know, to free fire it. It happens a lot on a lot of games, so I'd recommend turning that one up. But again, you can see with the VRAM usage, even just shadows, it makes a bit of a difference. So turn that one up. And by the way, if you have a low end system and all your other ones are on low, instead of putting the shadows and the view distance on ultimate, I would probably go for ultra or extreme. Just help your system just that little bit. But you can just go into a game and test it and then just change it. That's what I did. I went in with just a knife, went onto 0 dam, and I would just go through changing things and just see how it affects it. Okay, the other ones afterwards, from shadow map down to animation, same thing as before, low, medium, high, depending on your system. You only need it higher than that if you have an absolute beast of a system. You don't want a ton of FPS, you just want it to look beautiful, or you're playing a 2K or something, then go for these. These ones, these were what I found gave myself the biggest FPS boost when I turned them on. So super resolution mode, Nvidia DLSS. I used to always have this off in every game, but when I got my new PC I turned it on. It made a big difference. I did a lot of testing with the type of super resolution too. Most people, as you would automatically click on performance, but if you go onto YouTube and you search it and you see all the videos that people have done showing you the actual stats and how it's changed, you actually get a slight performance boost from quality over performance, which doesn't make much sense. So you have a slightly nicer looking image and it works better. Doesn't make sense to me, but that's how it plays, so that's why I put it on. That made a huge difference. If you have frame generation, of course turn it on. That made a massive difference for me too. These couple things were big changes. It's self-explanatory. it's just going to give you more frames. It artificially makes extra ones so your game does actually move faster. Not ripping you off like the new 5090s they have, but it helps. Nvidia Reflex low latency. Put this on low latency. Less input delay. It works better. Don't put it on enhanced. You might think the more the better, but don't, because it takes your FPS down. Put it on low. It doesn't affect it. Not that I found anyway, in any mine. You're more than welcome to try it off, but even if it sacrifices just a couple frames, I think it's worth it to have a quicker input. Don't put it enhanced. But yeah, that's it guys. We've gone through everything. There's not actually much you need to change. It's really quick if you know what you're doing. Please go try it. Let me know if it helps you. I hope it does. If it does, please leave a comment below letting me know. If you're still having issues, again, let me know below. I'll see what I can do to try fix it. But theoretically that should be everything. Last thing I would say is make sure your drivers are updated. Go onto Nvidia or AMD, whichever website or software it is that you have for your graphics card, and just make sure that's up to date. Providing you've done that, you shouldn't have any issues. It should be running absolutely fine. Great. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you soon.